Welcome to another aXpire update, this time for week 43 of 2019. This week at aXpire is set a focus on product development and go-to-market launch planning. We've not got a lot to share in terms of product development updates that we didn't cover last week, but in terms of our go-to launch for a biller, we're currently organizing the 2 booths we'll have at the LegalTech 2020 conference in New York. This includes figuring out what and who we want to be there, as well as how we'll drive people towards our booths. We think the conference is perfect for biller, and we're quite excited for it. Before the conference, we'll also do an all-hands on-site work session in our Indian office in Kerala, getting us ready for the biller launch and specifically the LegalTech conference. That's all for the project side of this week's update. Next, we have This Week in Crypto, bringing a collection of news and happenings from this past week to your attention, as well as giving you a brief opinion on them. This week, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg appeared before Congress to testify about the launch of Libra, the relationship between the Libra Association and Facebook, and more. As expected, regulators were not pleased in the slightest with Libra, and nothing Mr. Zuckerberg could say changed that. In addition to the displeasure with Libra, Mr. Zuckerberg received a flurry of attacks from House representatives with a focus on Facebook's misdeeds related to privacy. Whilst unrelated to Libra, Mr. Zuckerberg could do nothing but take it and respond. Before the live hearing itself, if you will, Mr. Zuckerberg also submitted written testimony to Congress in which he stated that Facebook would not participate in Libra's launch until all relevant US regulators were on board. When further pressed on this issue during the hearing itself, and specifically on what would happen if the Libra Association decided to move ahead without regulatory approval, Mr. Zuckerberg stated that, quote, "Then I believe that we would be forced to leave the association." Regulators took issue with this statement, given that Facebook is seen as the driving force behind Libra, even though Mr. Zuckerberg, Mr. Marcus, and other key individuals involved with both entities have stated that Facebook only have a singular vote within the association, the same as all other participating parties. After the hearing itself, several congressmen gave interviews to various outlets, and in an interesting quote to Cointelegraph from Congressman Hoisenga, the congressman cast doubt on if Libra would ever launch, saying, quote, "Collectively, we can't tie our shoes right now in Washington, much less figure out a complicated, involved act like this. I'm afraid that if Mark Zuckerberg is waiting for all of the regulators to greenlight this, I'm not sure if this thing will ever get launched." As a fun side note, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, an outspoken backer of Bitcoin, responded, quote, "Hell no," to the notion of Twitter joining the Libra Association. Mr. Dorsey, we share your sentiment, but then again, spending $10 million just to enter might be a bit steep. All in all, we thought the hearing was very interesting. As we've stated again and again at this point, we're not fans of Libra, and we also did not expect the hearing to go any different from how it went. It was interesting to hear Facebook commit to not helping the launch of Libra without regulatory approval. However, this was likely a cold and calculated legal statement meant to protect Facebook, as helping the launch in such an event would likely be a breach of fiduciary responsibility. To summarize, regulators still don't like Libra, and the carnival continues. In other news, Catherine Hahn, a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz and the Justice Department's prosecutor for the Silk Road case, in which Ross Ulbricht controversially received a life sentence, stated during a recent interview that 99.9% of fiat-based money laundering crimes went unprosecuted. Hahn further pressed on the absurdity of being more concerned about crypto-based money laundering, given how terrible the traditional system is of capturing fiat-based money laundering. She said the following, quote, "Our current system is doing a pretty terrible job of it, I'd say. Let me tell you what I mean. 99.9% of all money laundering crimes go unprosecuted. I testified before the US Senate about this, and the person who cited that statistic, other than Senator Chuck Grassley, was the ex-Treasury official. And I thought that can't be right, but I researched it, and it is indeed true." We personally believe that cryptocurrencies do not pose a so-called great threat to national security. In fact, in the case of ISIS, as Hahn mentions herself, we could even have blocked the specific currency held by the terror organization from doing business with any US bank or business. As we've seen with crypto exchange hacks, certain funds can be blocked from being able to access, say, Binance. We could do the exact same with terror money and more, theoretically, imposing sanctions which are virtually impenetrable. When the terror organization were to try to send any currency to, say, a US bank or business, those funds would already be blacklisted. We're not endorsing any specific political strategy with this, but merely discussing theoreticals. In broad strokes, highlighting KYC/AML risks as crypto's regulatory downfall is silly when you compare it to the traditional world of fiat money right now. In the last piece of news for this week's update, the University of Malta has announced that they're launching master's degrees within blockchain and DLT. According to Cointelegraph, Joshua Alul, director of the master's program and chairman of Malta Digital Innovation Authority, said that 15 companies had already contacted students within their master's course. Further, he said, quote, "We noticed a huge problem between techies and lawyers and business professionals. There was a communication disconnect between us. We thought this would be the perfect place to have a master's, one serving the multidisciplinary purposes of different specializations. The multidisciplinary Master of Science in Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Technologies aims to attract students having an undergraduate first degree in ICT, business, or law. The program provides both an interdisciplinary view of blockchain and DLT, as well as specialization within either an information and communications technology, law, or business area. We think it's great to see blockchain being embraced more at an academic level, and it's not too surprising that it's Malta leading the charge. Malta is currently one of the foremost government supporters of blockchain technology, providing clear and advanced regulatory frameworks for businesses within the space, much unlike many of its neighbors and unlike the leaders on the world stage, such as the US. That's all for this week's update. I hope to see you again next week. Thank you.